passing it on to the team. Again, like I told you, this team started in our Saturday session and they've expanded to so much more. I'm so excited that they've been progressing. They are a sign that if people really are eager to work together and figure things out, they can accomplish anything. Okay, so I'm very, very proud to have them here. And Marcela, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, let me start by, I think, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you great.
Okay, perfect. So I think that as Rick mentioned, and for those of you that have not been already participating in the Saturday sessions, really, we've been together for a long time. As Rick mentioned, since really the pandemic, we've been meeting every Saturday, and then it started then also on Wednesdays. And so what we're about to share with you is our Agile Journey. A group of us, a volunteer team, coming together to actually develop an app. And so before I continue, I do want to introduce the team. Everybody is on this call. So just in alphabetical order, we have Mike Barker, Saba Benson, Alfredo Castañeda, Matt Fielder, Maika Hansard, Kenny Mackey, Vijo Menon, Andrea Pratt-Smith, Bill Schumann, Karen Singh, and I'm Marcela Phillips. So as I suggested earlier, we started, I guess, in the summer of last year. We had been meeting every Saturday through the pandemic, and there was a lot of discussion, agile topics, best practices, what to do, what not to do. And in all, the idea came up with the idea of why don't we start a team to actually put these practices, everything that we're talking about into action, get some real experience in Agile and the Agile roles. And so it started and evolved into, well, let's create a mobile application. And again, we're all volunteers, so nobody was working full-time on this. It was a commitment of Saturdays and then Wednesday evenings for development. And then, of course, as everybody had additional time to work on it on their own. So again, unlike our traditional jobs, where you have an Agile team that is committed full-time to an effort, in our case, we always were part-time, but we were committed to the endeavor. So what we want to walk through tonight via more of a panel discussion Q&A is we're going to share this journey with you, what we've learned, the good, the bad, the ugly, what we learned along the way. We'll also give you a demo. We're going to carve out 15 minutes at the end to give you a demo of the app, which has in fact been released in Apple Store as well as the Android, whatever that's called. I don't have an Android
Google Play Store.
Google Play Store.
So we are out there, and we are continuing to work on it, and we'll be releasing another release soon, I believe. But so what we're going to do is do the demo, and then I also ask if you have questions, put them in the chat. Andrea will be monitoring the questions for us, and we'll make sure that at the end we also spend 15 minutes to address any questions that we may not have answered as we go through our own Q&A. So what I'm going to do, and I know that it's not going to show off very well, but we'll give you the QR code at the end. This is what the app looks like. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set one of the features of the app. Doesn't look good at all, but one of the features is a timer. And so I am going to set a 15-minute timer starting now so that we can make sure we stay within our time box for this presentation. So I'm going to kick it off and kind of ask every member of our team. Why did you join the App Collab team? What made you join this group, and what was your motivation? Who wants to start?
I can go first. So, you mentioned it already, Marcella. It was all about the experience. I found transformation experts and the Saturday morning group just running through some Google, looking for ways to get experience in Agile. I had spent the last 20 years in the Army and was transitioning out of the Army and was looking for more experience doing, this amazing thing called Agile, right? That if you don't actually do it, you don't get the experience with it. And so that was what I was looking for, getting that experience. Also looking for the experience as a developer, right? Not just as a Scrum Master or some other part of the team. I was specifically looking to be a developer so I could see what it was like from a developer's perspective to be on an Agile team. And using the no-code app development kind of allowed me to have a better understanding of what it was like to be on a team as a developer, not just as a Scrum Master or product owner or what have you.
Thank you, Mike.
I can echo Mike's statements as well, because I have been a project manager, but I did not have much experience with Agile, and I actually wanted to gain that experience. Early on in the pandemic, I think we all found ourselves in a very vulnerable place where we were kind of looking for jobs, and you needed to have as much in your arsenal as you possibly can. And so through Transformation Expert and Rick and his team, I started joining these meetings, and when the opportunity came up to actually form the app team to get the experience not just like the process itself, but get to choose a role within that. I welcome that opportunity as well. And like Mike, I actually joined it from a developer standpoint as well. But we all kind of multitask, because at times every once in a while, we all wanted to have the Scrum Master experience for our group as well. So we were given that opportunity as well. It's been a wonderful ride.
Thank you, Saba.
I can go. I've been in IT for 40 years, more or less. And I've been everything from a developer, actually computer operator, to developer, wrote on the mainframe, wrote assembler, CICS, did mostly waterfall throughout my career. Even helped teach some waterfall approaches and training, and managed teams. Had a few teams under my belt over the years, and I really wanted to get better at managing groups and working with people. And on a waterfall approach well, let me phrase it this way, more of a Scrum and Agile approach is a much more productive way of managing teams from what I can see. So I wanted more experience doing that, which I thought was going to be very beneficial. And the team really did help me through a lot of that. So it was really a lot of fun to work with everybody and get some additional practice and learning different ways of doing things and improving my skill sets.
Yep, and Bill was our product owner. So I want to say that, not a developer, he was a product owner. Who wants to go next? Matt?
Sure. So I spent the last, I don't even know, 15 or so years as a business analyst. And I recognize that I'm quickly going to become obsolete. So I wanted to transition over to Agile/Scrum, and I started going to the Saturday meetings, but not on this project. And people like Joe and Victoria were very helpful in guiding, and they recognized I had asked about experience, because that's really what I want. And I'm echoing Mike. I wanted that experience. So they suggested I join this team. So I came in late and joined this team, and it has proven more valuable than I could have ever imagined. And I thank this entire team for it. So my goal is really just to transition from old and archaic to something a little better and a little more modern. And here we are.
Awesome.
I think I can echo really almost everybody. I also joined the team late. I am a project manager, and I was certified as a professional Scrum Master. And I was also new to the Florida area. And so I started attending some of the TE events to meet other people in the community. And the pandemic gave me the opportunity to do more, because by going virtual, I was able to attend more things. And after the first time of just going into one of the product sessions, I was so impressed that I really wanted to be part of the group, because I saw it as a way that I could learn more and become, part of the team putting together this application. So I joined quite late, but it's one of the best decisions that I made, because I've been able to, I think, learn more skills, and my team at work is benefiting from what I'm learning here. And, hopefully I'll continue to be able to help my team.
You, Maika. Alfredo?
Sure. So I have 29 years of product development experience. I've worked in different industries, mostly medical device, mostly as an engineer. I came across transformation experts in the events, and I liked the community. I had gotten one certification as PO through SAFe, and I liked Agile. I had done program and project management in my past, and I liked the mindset. I like the Agile mindset. I like leadership. I like the aspect of teams and how it interacts with people. So I thought the best approach for me was to actually get involved and do it. And since I had mostly done hardware kind of medical devices versus software, I figured this would be great. I understood the product development process, but I'd get to see it in a different environment. So that's what I was looking for, and I enjoyed it. Also got a different perspective and a feel for and a flavor for Agile. We mentioned different roles. I mostly paid development, but there was a time we did share and act as Scrum Master. So we did have that ability to transition into roles and see the process through. So it was a great experience, and I'm grateful that I was able to do it during the pandemic, because I had more time.
Thank you, Alfredo. Vijay?
Yeah,
I can go next.
As a project manager dealing with diverse and multiple teams, having a standardized agile delivery was always an issue. So I joined this group to learn how I could better manage my team. And this was great, because transformation experts, they want to give back to the community, and we also had the same feeling that we need to give back to the community. And the product really evolved organically. And that's because we were all learning and trying to implement the best practices. And I'm so proud what the product has become. And I've used it now for my work. And it makes my life at my job much easier, because I just, time box my Scrum events. It doesn't go more than 15 minutes. And, everybody knows what to do. And like I said, I use this app at all times. That's for me.
Thank you, Vijay. I actually do want to point out, because I don't think that I mentioned it, and of course we're going to do the demo at the end, but as the title suggests, it is focused on Scrum Masters and Agile coaches, so it is meant to be a tool used for learning and actual execution. So I just wanted to provide that context, because I don't think I mentioned it earlier. So that's what Viju is addressing in terms of using the tool in her day-to-day Agile work as well. Karen, you want to share your motivations?
Hi, I'm Karen. I was looking for a
a volunteer position to get my feet wet in Agile. I have worked on waterfall projects and I've been a consultant 20 years of my career. So I was looking for something new, something that I could volunteer and I could learn ongoing. So I joined this group. I Googled and I found this group, and it was really a good learning experience. And the positive part about this was that I could get a consulting gig as a product owner after I joined this. So it just did give me the confidence and the knowledge that I needed to do my job. So I'm thankful to this group.
Awesome. Kenny?
Hey, evening, everybody. So as for me, kind of like this conversation, I came on the tail end. Pretty much, and kind of blending very nicely. Everybody was so open, accepting, and kind of brought me up to speed. So prior to this, I tend to be an avid reader. So when it came to methodologies like Agile and Scrum, I read a lot about it, but never actually had the opportunity to make any practical application. I work in a different field other than IT. I work in banking, so and pretty much by myself. So never really having the opportunity to use it collaboratively either or as a team. So basically, this provided the perfect opportunity for me to do so, to get exposure and also to just watch others work. And just by interacting with them and watching them, naturally me growing as well. So really thankful for the team for that.
Great. And Andrea, bring it home for us. Talk to us.
All right, thank you. I'll make this very quick because you all know I can't talk long. So let me just wrap this up. My experience with this whole South Florida Agile Association and Transformation Experts began like everyone else because of the pandemic and trying to find an outlet to learn and grow. And I actually attended my first meeting on June 28th of last year. And since then, I can say that I have honestly grown exponentially in that short period of time. I've achieved 3 Agile certifications with the assistance of Rick Vergara and Transformation Experts. I've gained valuable knowledge and practical work experience from being a part of this collab Scrum team. And I have been able to apply everything that I've learned from my mentors, coaches, and my teammates to actually establish the Bahamas project management community. So this opportunity has not only advanced me as an individual, but this has made a substantial difference in the Agile community in the Bahamas. So we're not only just in South Florida, they're changing the world. So I really appreciate this opportunity to serve and to learn and to grow with this awesome community. And thank you to everyone who played a part in that.
Awesome. Well, I think I'm hearing a lot of love. And in truth, like any other team, as you form, storm, norm, and perform, you go through some bumps. So would anybody care to share maybe the bad and the ugly?
Can I say one thing first?
Yes, Joe, please.
So I'm a little bit, great job, by the way, but I'm a little bit worried because on our Saturday sessions, everybody's going to go to the app team and I'm not going to have anyone for my beginning and intermediate classes. I mean, what are you doing?
Have me, Joe. I promise. I'll be
All
there.
right. All right. So I gotta. Great job, guys.
To answer your question, Marcella, and just before
Yes.
that, actually, since we're talking about the team and how we formed, we wouldn't be the high-performing team that we are and have the skills that we gained if it wasn't for our fearless leader, Leon Sobarski. He was our mentor, and he was the one that kind of like from early on came in, coached us, whatever we needed. He provided that knowledge, that experience for us. So we cannot dismiss that. But in
Tough love.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been fantastic, and we all adore him.
Mega chips.
Yeah.
Here's why he's hiding today. So hopefully he'll appear. Well, Leon.
But in terms of like going through the stages of like forming, storming, whatever, just like any team that kind of forms, you know, you do go through those stages. And with our team actually coming from diverse backgrounds and everything else, we did experience that. And because we're also kind of like only exposed to each other 2 days a week as opposed to working every single day, that journey with us, I was like really impressed with how fast we went through those stages. So yes, we did experience different stages, but through like effective communication and open and honest communication, we were able actually to, you know, go through the stages very quickly. And I love, like, this team feels like family to me. We actually, a month ago or so, maybe a little bit more, a few of us that live in South Florida, we decided to actually get together for lunch. And it was absolutely crazy how it really felt like family, and all we wanted to do was like hug, and it just felt so natural to be together. Great team.
Any other struggles anybody else want to share with?
Yeah,
Those
I'll
growing
echo.
pains?
I'll echo, yeah, definitely the aspect of the team, and just like projects, just like activities, just like process development, it's organic. It's not linear. It really isn't. Sometimes you have progression, you have a sequence, and then you hit some bumps, and then you have to reassess. And I think that's where the challenges are. Sometimes we get into situations personally that we're maybe uncomfortable with because maybe we're not comfortable doing a task, or maybe you're uncomfortable because you want to contribute to the team. I think we've experienced all that. That was a strong cohesion. There's a lot of unit cohesion in this group, I have to say. And there were moments where if there was a problem, we would jump on it, truly in the agile mindset fashion of just doing it. And sometimes we figure out, hey, we're probably talking too much about the problem. Why don't we just do it? And we just do it. And it just happened naturally. As the team continued to develop itself, that was more common. So I have to, echo, I'm very grateful for this experience, and I'm very grateful for the relationships with the team overall. I think it's definitely made me a better leader. In my new role during COVID, I went through a career change like many folks have, and that allowed me to invest time in this. And as I've started my new career, I've been able to carry a lot of those learnings, even how to deal with and value the relationships, both in a leadership role and in an agile environment, and or just project or program environment. A lot of the learnings that I got from here are definitely transferable, and I'm all the better for it, I think.
So Marcelo, your question was what were some of our bumps in the road?
Yes.
And I would say for me, really, when we started this whole thing early on, it was very disorganized feeling to me, right? I'm coming from a military background where you really, you come in and you figure out who's in charge, and then you figure out where we're going to go and then how we're going to get there. And so granted, that's part of agility, is going through that churn, but it was really frustrating for me up front when I couldn't figure out like who was going to make decisions about things, what was going to happen, when it was going to happen. It was very much that ambiguity at the beginning that really drove me absolutely nuts. But it also taught me a lesson about, the value of agility, and the fact that, not having all the answers up front is okay. As long as you're making progress and as long as you're moving through the progress, it's okay. But dang, that was frustrating for me up front. Really frustrating for me up front.
Wow. Anybody else?
I'm going to have to agree with Mike, because I came from a background of business analyst, and I document everything that happens, everything I needed to do. And I had to make this mental shift to how things like user stories are written and kind of approach it differently, because the content is not the same and the intent is not the same. You end up with an app, but the approach is all different. I kind of struggled with that a little bit. I fell into the habit of like writing user stories as if I'm writing a use case. So that was a shift for me.
Yeah, I struggled with some of that too, because it was trying to figure out who's making decisions, and then trying to make decisions as a team, and the team doesn't always agree, and who's the final arbiter, and I had to bite my lip a lot.
Yeah, I think that was, obviously we all wanted to respect the roles that we had agreed we were playing. But I think given that we were all volunteers, at some point there was a, you know, if you really didn't agree with something, everyone felt compelled to to stick to their guns and say, well, do we really want to do this? So definitely that was interesting. And I think part of it, again, is because it's a volunteer group and not our day-to-day position that you are conforming to, right? Why don't we talk about tools and any techniques that anyone would like to especially call out as useful for them in the journey?
Well, I can start. One tool that I feel has been a drastic change in my life is Trello. I came into this group not knowing what Trello was, not knowing how to use it, not knowing how to do the automations. And I must say, this team has taught me so much that I'm now passing on that knowledge to my teams. And I'm even showing my 9-year-old daughter how to use Trello. She has a Trello board for homeschooling, guys. And we're setting up dates and our different cards, and it's awesome. It's a really good tool. And I enjoyed learning all those tips and tricks that Mike showed us. And it was very interesting. So that's my number one go-to tool right now that's really been transformational in my life.
Anybody else want to share?
I have to say that I really enjoy getting into like Mike's Miro board because like he's got so much stuff and I like pan through it and I'm like, it's amazing what Mike gets into. It is like totally amazing. So Mike, thank you. I'm kind of like a Miro board stalker.
No. Oh.
I'm not even sure what that is. I would say Jamboard, which is, I think, one of the transformation expert sessions introduced me to that. And I've used it with my team and everyone loved it. It was just a new way to collaborate and it was so effective and efficient. And, they're using it for other things now. One of my teammates, I think, is using it at home with their kids. So that was a really good tool for me to use because at the time I didn't know that they were like any of these tools. I'd never heard of Trello. I'd never heard of Miro. And so on and on and on, the tools we've learned here, it's just been so wonderful for me because it's really expanding what I can do and how I can work and how I can collaborate with others.
For me, it's something very simple. I mean, we use in a regular meeting. It's actually Elmo. Yes, Elmo. So yes, I know someone's gonna pop it up. So with me, I realize a lot of times when I speak in meetings and also my comrades, not speaking specifically to this team, but in general, a lot of times we waste a lot of time getting sidetracked. But Elmo usually, in this team especially, they don't let you get sidetracked for long. Elmo is sure to show his head quickly. So definitely something I am now very conscious of and trying to even integrate that in my own life.
Can you explain what Elmo does
mean?
Yeah.
So thank you. And sometimes you take things like that for granted. So Elmo meaning let's move on. Let's move on. I was gonna say everyone. Everyone, let's move on. So everyone.
I thought it's enough. Let's move on.
Enough. Let's move on.
So I wasn't too sure on the E because I know sometimes I read persons say different things for the E. Let's move on, definitely. So basically, every time I go on a tangent, of course, we have our persons who have their own Elmo, and I see. Let me stop before I see Elmo again.
Just calling Elmo on you.
There you go.
Kenny,
So,
that's just them.
I have a take on that. I have another one to question, even though it's a question mark, because psychologically, it forces me to listen. It forces me to stop and just hold back and wait and just be the last to speak. So from a and it's helped me a lot in getting feedback. It's helped me in a current situation, a personal conflict I had with a recent employee. And I just sat there and I listened, and I really listened. I tried not to even respond. It's not like because sometimes you're not listening, you're just being quiet. There's a difference between being quiet versus listening. Because when you're actively listening, you're not speaking, you're not anticipating a response to that person's feedback or not. You're just taking it all in, writing it, and just let it settle. And that's helped me. And it has helped me respect other people. It's helped me to appreciate situations and get a better perspective.
So we
That's
talked.
the power of being present, being absolutely present and actively listening. I really think that everyone should do that in their daily life, whether they're at work, at home, in all things.
Yeah. So we talked about tools. What about the ceremonies?
You forgot a tool, a really good tool that we all use, Zoom.
Zoom.
Sharing, collaborating, breakout sessions.
You kind of take Zoom for granted. Yeah,
You
that's
do,
exactly
right?
how we communicate. Yes, no doubt.
Without Zoom, we wouldn't have this remote team because we're not located in the same place. We're in a whole different country. Katie and I are in the Bahamas. Then you have Mike, who's in Texas, and Matt, Pittsburgh.
Yes.
So we're all over the globe.
Karen in Jersey.
Yeah, Karen is in New Jersey. So, without Zoom, there would be no us.
Yep, agreed. So what about ceremonies? Were you all real strict about trying to adhere to all the ceremonies?
Yeah, actually, we did kind of put ourselves on a rotating schedule. And so we came up with a schedule like, on this Wednesday, we start our sprint, and then, we do development work then, and, go through our backlog refinements, go through our retros, we are through all of that, definitely.
Yes, over time, we developed a cadence, so we knew what to expect. And it really came in handy when we shifted the role of Scrum Master. And so when somebody vacated that position and someone else came in, the structure was already established. So we didn't have to figure out when are we doing our sprint planning, when are we doing our retrospectives. We already had the cadence. So the team had already gone through all of that.
Yeah, it was interesting to look at the way we ended up evolving that, because we started out with like 2-week sprints, and then we went to 4-week sprints. But it was even shorter sprints than that when you count the number of hours that we were actually working on things. I mean, we were basically doing in 4 weeks, 12 hours worth of work, basically, right? And so it was really condensed, but we figured it out, and we were able to fit in those things and get the learning out of it that we wanted to get out of it. Because that's why I'd say 99% of us were there, is to get learning and get feedback from either a coach or from each other about how those things were going. And so being able to really lay those down and go through those ceremonies was completely invaluable, and learning different techniques of how to do a retrospective, seeing how other people ran a Scrum or how other people ran a planning session, how they did estimation. It was really valuable in my mind and from my perspective to see all those different ceremonies go through. And the thing is at the beginning, when I talked about my frustration phase, it wasn't, we didn't have some of that laid out, right? But as soon as the team decided, hey, let's try doing Scrum, that helped us get organized into a way and into a fashion that allowed us to really continue to evolve. And so it was interesting to see all the ceremonies and how we use them to help the team.
What did you all think of the working agreement?
We learned,
I think
yeah,
go ahead, Alfredo.
In the end, we learned that as time evolved, the conditions evolved, we needed to change the working agreement. Mm-hmm. And I think it was kind of in tune with what Mike was commenting. I wanted to just say one thing, add to that, which is really a good learning for me, was spacing out, if you will, or sparsing out the events in with sufficient time to allow enough work to be developed, so that, you know, if you're not planning, you can't be planning all the time, then you're not really doing Agile. So that was, I think that was one of, I probably should have said that would have been one of my struggles at the beginning as well, is that I felt like we were just constantly reviewing and planning, and then all of a sudden, when we sparse things out of it, it was more like, okay, now we're planning, doing enough work, and then we're being able to do the process and run the Scrum process. So
to add to what Alfredo said, and to go back on the working agreement part, I think that we realized early on that that working agreement was a critical artifact for us to evolve as a team. And we realized that it was a living document that we had to continually update as we learn more about each other and as we learn about our work ethics. And so the working agreement established our initial ground rules and our expectations. And so it kept us committed and motivated, and we knew what each other expectations were. So if we have a meeting and we said we're going to do development work on a certain day, the team knew, according to what we agreed as a team in our team working agreement, we knew that this is when we had this assignment, we knew what to expect, and we knew who was involved with that aspect of the work. And so that's a critical document in order to have a high-performing team. You have to have that working agreement solidified and agreed to by all of your team members.
How did you guys keep it fun? Let's kind of switch it up.
With
Like
silliness.
having fun on Saturdays and Wednesdays.
I think
Fun sometimes was easy and sometimes it was hard. I think one of the things we struggled with at different times was, should we focus on work or should we make time to get to know the other humans we were working with? And when we thought about our sprints, we eventually had to plan in time to get to know each other and to, you know, to spend time understanding the teammate, the person that you're working with. And as we decided to have some fun along the way and we decided to laugh, I think it helped us collaborate better. And it also helped us, we support each other outside of working on App Collab. And so I think that it, you know, laughing, learning that we should laugh, learning that we were working with people and that we have lives, helped us support each other and really grow that team aspect. And I think help us become our vision of a high-performing team.
Well, to add to that, you know, I think it's important to not only have great work ethics, but you have to have high emotional intelligence on a team. And you have to be aware of the situations and be concerned about your teammates. You know, it's not all about doing the work and executing the work, but have compassion and have some kind of sympathy. Like we had team members who had deaths, we had illnesses, you know, we went through the gamut of it and we supported each other. And we even had celebrations. You know, when Mike retired from the Army, he had us on his laptop in a chair remotely, and we attended the ceremony for Mike's retirement. And so that's teamwork, and that shows that we're not just invested in the work, but we're invested in each other as human beings.
That's right. And I do want to go on the record and say Mike was only 10 years old when he decided to put 20 years with the military, right, Mike? Still a baby. So I know that when we started this conversation, many of you kind of started talking about what you got out of the experience. But I guess to focus on what was unexpected, in other words, we shared why we started the journey, right? What we thought we were trying to get. What did you actually get? And what would you say is the most unexpected?
So for me, it was a little bit unexpected that the connections with the people, that was probably the most unexpected, is how much of a family we really grew into. And that, because I went into it to get experience and to maybe meet some interesting folks and maybe do some networking. But the relationships that we built with each other, that was definitely a unexpected huge bonus for me out of this whole thing.
And it wasn't just during the meetings, because like we were reaching out to each other, like, through like outside of the meeting on our own times, like whether it's texting, calling. I know Mayik and I called each other a few times to consult on different things or just have a laugh, or, Andrea and I are constantly on WhatsApp. So yeah, and same thing for me. The unexpected is I gained an extended family.
Well, I can echo that, because when I went to South Florida for a visit, I actually stayed with Saba, and I was so nervous about meeting her in person. I don't know why I was nervous, because we were in this team for over a year, and I said, I'm going to a stranger. But when I went by Saba, it was like I was going home. It's like, it felt like that, like I was going home, and Saba really treated me like I was her younger sister, and we just had laughs. And I mean, the conversations would last well into the night. And she's like, I have work in the morning. I'm like, well, I'm sleeping late, so I would have her up talking, and, it was really good. And when we met up with the other members of the Scrum team for lunch, it was funny, because we actually sat down and we started to have lunch. And I turned to Maika, I say, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Andrea. I said, we've never met in person. And everyone was like, you know what? We never met in person, but we just sat down and started conversations, not realizing we had never physically met each other, but we felt like we had known each other for ages. And so that's the synergy that we've developed as a team. And I really feel so connected to everyone in this group. And I mean, it's invaluable. I can't express it. I can't put a monetary figure on it. It's invaluable. So I really appreciate being with this team.
Any other?
We can extend that to everyone. I think when we had one of the first meetings we met with Godwin, and we met with Rick and Regina that time. That was great. It was right, the pandemic was still going, so it carried out the community. The idea that I would extend that to the community. And obviously we had a stronger bond within the team, which I think helped us to maintain our commitments and the work agreement. We can live the work agreement versus reading it. I mean, how many times did we read it? How many times did we live it? And that was in large part due to the strength of the relationships.
Well, what I found very interesting in some of the retrospects, and actually, I'd say, was it about a month ago? We went through a retrospective and just kind of listening to what everybody had to say. And it was interesting that not once did we bring up the fact that we had released an app. I mean, as an achievement, as output, as something done. It was very interesting how it was really about the humanness of every connection and interaction that we went through, that we talked about, as opposed to this app, which we're going to demo. So I think it speaks to, I think for me also personally, I certainly didn't expect the level of connection that I have now with this team and this group. And I think that that's very interesting. And I got to wonder, because it's volunteer, right? It's because we want to be here, not because we have to, all employed by the same employer and get paid. It's that we want to. So it was very interesting dynamic. I guess I put it out to the team. Is there anything I didn't ask that anybody wants to share?
I have one
Can
thing
I
I
go?
want to share.
Can
Sorry,
I go,
Dylan.
Andrea?
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm coming back to the meeting today after several weeks, and it feels so good to be back in our own group. I started coming to the social group last year in July-August time frame, and it was a really very, very helpful, very social, very educational, very knowledgeable environment for me. I had moved back to Tampa from East Coast, West Coast. I had been traveling around for like 4 or 5 years. So I had lost touch with everybody, and COVID times, can't go anywhere. So this was really perfect for me. And I had got 20 years of experience. I always wanted to catch up with agile way of doing business, running the projects. So this was a really good staging area for me. I got chance to listen to everybody. I got chance to share my own ideas, and in the process, I managed to get 3-4 certifications done also. So it has helped me tremendously, and I made several friends here. I was part of the app build team briefly, but then I wanted the exposure to different aspects of the project. So I moved around in different teams, trying to learn from everybody, and everybody had been very helpful. Regina, Rick, Leon, Marcella, Saba. So it was a very good experience for me. I finished 1 year with TE. Good to be at home.
Thank you, Dilip. Dilip was actually part of the App Collab team for a period of time, and like he said, he switched over to the sessions and wanted to hear more on the weekly conversations as well. So that's awesome.
Marcella, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, this is Hector. Real quick, I wanted to just put out a statement kind of summarizing this whole segment, which I think is awesome. And I'm thinking out loud that this agile approach that we've been doing for a while now, I think it allows people to work and be more connected and more visible. So it makes people and work more connected and more visible if you apply these methods.
Definitely. Definitely.
That's
And,
right.
and Marcella, there is one more thing that I actually wanted to mention. And I'm the one that I have to walk away from our development meeting feeling like I accomplished something. And there was times when we actually sort of really had to accomplish a lot and not enough time to do. So we got introduced to the concept of swarming in order to work together. And that was really, really interesting because a lot of times, either we worked as a whole team at the same time, sharing screens, and sometimes we would delegate. It's you two go and do this, you two work on that. And that was really, really cool. And we got to work with different people, different times. I've worked with Mike, I've worked with Alfredo, I worked with Andrea, and it was really cool to learn from them, learn their way of thinking, learn how they tackle a problem, learn how they would approach something else, how their experience obviously played into it. And that was also very, very invaluable and enjoyable.
I want to comment on that. That's great. I use that with my teams now. I have teams and I actually pair engineers together into groups, especially and I like to move them around as well. And it helps to build relationships. It helps to build the overall output of the team. It helps overall. So I can tell you, it doesn't just work. It didn't just work for us. It works. Definitely.
One of the things that I recently went through, if you want to call it a personal retrospective on this team and what we did and my personal learning through it. And one of the things that I really got out of this that for me is, and by the way, I've always been a learner. I've always enjoyed learning and reading, but this really solidified for me that Agile is all about never stop learning. There's always changes, and whether it's in your profession, your personal life, how you operate as a team, always keep learning, always keep doing that retrospective, always picking out what you want to do, what you want to stop doing, and what you want to keep doing. It really is was something that I really internalized.
Very true.
Well, Marcella, if I can quickly rewind and go back to the beginning when we first started this app, just to mention the tool that we used to actually create the app was the Adalo app. And I recall one of our first assignments from our coach, our Agile coach, Coach Leon, was to hand sketch with pencil a prototype. That was our assignment. And so Saber and I and another lady who later on left the team, we went and we drew our prototype and our screens and how we wanted the app to look. We had our prototype down. And then it was demo day when we had to present our prototype to the team. And Mike came with the app almost built in Adalo. And Saber side messaged me and she said, Andrea, I don't think we should present this paper sketch because Mike has the whole app already built. So I feel like we just, you know, we're the dummy in the bunch. And I said, Saber, no, we completed our task, what was asked of us. We did our pencil sketches. So you'll see in our documentation, we started with pencil sketch. Our prototype was a pencil sketch, except Mike, which is print screens of his app that he built. And that's how we got to use the Adalo app from off of what Mike had presented. So thank you for that, Mike.
So actually, that was a wonderful segue because I think we're down to about 3 minutes. So I am going to actually switch the, move on to the next screen of our presentation, which is a QR code if anybody wants to scan it and pull up the app. Alfredo is going to be doing a demo.
So a little preview, well, the version of the app that we're going to share with you is the 1.1, which is not released on Google or Apple, just to be clear. And I'm going to kind of walk us through it. It essentially has many of the elements that the released app has. It's just, we're going to show you the latest and greatest. We added a few other features and some bug fixes that Mike and the team had done. So we want just to be clear, this is, what you're going to get is a link. You can interact with it. You can follow me, whichever makes sense. You can follow along. You can see I'm going to kind of, I won't go through all of it. I will just, it's pretty intuitive and hopefully you'll see that as I walk through it. But I just wanted to be clear that this won't be the one you get in, it's not the, you're going to get 1.1, which is great. It's not the 1.0, but it is, and it's only going to get better. So if you guys can allow me control. See if you guys can see my screen. So you can either follow along with my screen or you can play with that. I'll give you, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so we call it the SMRT tool, the Scrum mobile app. It's essentially a pocket guide and it's focused primarily on Scrum, the Scrum technique. I'm going to touch a few things to skip through the login because I think everybody here knows how to log in and create a password and you're more than free to do that. But I don't want to spend time doing things that are obvious. I want to share with you what the value of this. This is our navigation page and this kind of gives you an overview of the entire app. And there's all the features there. You have artifacts. All of this is just a couple of background things. The content in here is based on the Scrum Guide, the 2020 Scrum Guide. So we have artifacts section, we have events, and I'll walk through a number of these. And so we talk ceremonies, now the new terminology is the events. We have the roles. So we'll describe the different roles, both the PO, the Scrum Master, and the development team, or the team. We have some team activities. So we have some specific tools that we'll share with that. And we have the timer section with the team put together some really nice timers. And there's other general tools. And there's we also have links to the website and the values. So I'll get start with the events real quick. I think, so we talked about the different types of events. So I'll walk through a couple of these and I'll allow you to do it. I think if this is intuitive enough, you'll get the hang of it. So for example, we have the daily Scrum, And that has kind of an explanation of what it is, the purpose, and you can actually then go back. There's also a sprint review, and in the sprint review, we have the purpose, what in a nutshell, what it involves, and time box recommendations, depending on how long your sprint is. So some of that's in there. We also have a link to the timer here. You can use the home page, which should be intuitive enough to get you back to that navigation screen. We also have artifacts, so we've broken that up. And again, this is all based on the Scrum guide. So we have a sprint backlog. This is great for studying. It's or a reference. Again, it's like a pocket guide. And we talk about the increment, what it is. Again, that's the terminology, including the definition and the context. So if you're studying for test, or you just want to refer to it in the day-to-day kind of use. On the roles, we have it broken down by, for example, product owner, what the role is, what's expected of that role. And then we also have links to the corresponding areas. So there, and as this app will develop in the future, hopefully we can have more interconnectivity. But you can, once you get a background on what that role is, you can go to a particular Scrum event or an artifact that's associated with that role. I'm gonna go back one more. Well, let's try Scrum Master, for example. We have the Scrum Master is kind of an interesting one. It's the Scrum Master and how that role interacts with the team, how that role interacts with the product owner, and how it interacts with the organization. And specifically, it calls that out. For example, we can look at the product owner, and again, you can navigate around to the different areas. On the team activities, we have broken them up into two categories. We have Icebreakers, which I think we find pretty useful. So we can, you draw a toast. We have draw this, two truths and a lie. These are really nice. It sends you to a website. I'll probably have to go back to that. Oops. I apologize.
I think it was your second tab over to the left. There.
Yeah, thank you.
It always opens up in an additional tab if you are.
Thanks for bailing me out.
Yeah, no worries. I've gone through this, and it's School of Hard Knocks.
And we have some team building ones. And we have my favorite thing. There's a lot of great stuff on that one. The purpose, and there's also a time box event there. You can utilize that. It links you back to the time box. And we have emoji motion, so we can communicate our state.
Click on one of them.
So one of the things is you can use that to communicate how you feel, or you can ask for your team members how they're doing today. It's a good way. It's a good engagement tool. Or you maybe just feel neutral. We have where in the world, which is one of the ones I prefer. And you can ask, that's really nice. If you have an international team, you can ask them, where would you like to be? So I think that's very common nowadays, since a lot of the teams are remote. This kind of gives us an idea to share. I'm gonna go back. That covers the activities, and we have the timers, and we have different timers based on the number of minutes.
we put in a 5-second demo, just in case you, that way at the bottom, in case you want to get into it. They all work the same, except this one, you don't have to wait for like 10 minutes to get through it.
Other tools, we have delegation poker. If you've taken management 3.0, you're familiar with some of that approach, or it's pretty straightforward how you want to describe or how the team wants to address tasks. You have tell or sell in this case, actually. And it's organized. There's also the link to the website here, which it sends you to that. You can find out about that technology. And there's a Fibonacci. We have a Fibonacci sequence, which is great for estimation. So we have the different cards. And if you're not sure, there's always the question mark. And of course, there's the instructions. Then we have the training and meetups that sends you to the transformation expert site. Ooh, that popped up. And we have the actual Scrum values as well. Any questions? There's one nice one that we just added. We're setting up the ability to connect and contact us. We want to set up an email that we can provide for the team. And as we have in the logging in site, we can see, we'll also have a background on what the app is and who the contributors are. When you log in, that will be something that will be in the next version of the app.
So from a product owner perspective, the one thing that we were looking at from this application was really twofold. One was as a training tool that could be used by transformation experts or anyone else to help train their team based on the Scrum framework. And the other aspect was really for a team to use this on a daily basis, whether it's the timers, some of the ceremonies, all kinds of other features in here that could be used on a daily basis by a team. So trying to balance that out and making sure that we could use it from both perspectives, I think has really helped deliver a good product from this perspective. And we've got a lot more to go. I'm sure everybody's sitting there saying, oh, wouldn't this be nice? And wouldn't that be nice? That would be great. And those are the kinds of things that we're going to continue doing, and we're going to keep developing this app. And it's going to be a fantastic resource for anybody that's interested in learning or running Scrum teams.
So we're down to...
We have a question in the chat, Marcella.
Yeah, I was going to say that we're down to our Q&A. So Andrea, do you want to handle?
Yes, we have one question in the chat so far, so let the questions keep coming, guys, or you can open up your mics and ask questions. The question was from Alex. He wants to know, does the timer count down while not in the app?
So as long as you don't close the app out, as long as you leave the actual timer page up, it will continue counting down. If you go out of the timer page, unfortunately, the functionality in Adalo is such that it will not keep counting down. You have to stay on that actual page.
Yeah, so your screen can lock, but it's still taking the timer, which is what was happening to me when I set it for the 50 minutes.
Any other
Do you have
questions?
anything else?
Okay, guys, feel free to open up your mics and ask as much questions as you want. Coaches can ask questions as well. Coach Leon, we know you're there in the background. You're active in the chat. Do you have anything you want to ask the team?
So a quick question before Leon does. So Leon did something where he stepped back and allowed you guys to continue your journey. How did you feel during that time where you were left alone to play with the crayons?
I felt completely abandoned. No, I'm just kidding.
No, wait, Mike, that was true.
It was devastating. No, I was not.
It was awkward. It was
It
weird.
took an adjustment.
Yes,
It was weird, but I felt prepared for it, even though there are times where I wish that he was there because it was like this really safe space when Leon was there. And it became a more uncomfortable space when he left. But he told us before he left that he would
leaving.
start to be, that he was going to be leaving or be present a little bit less. So I think it took a while to really kind of be comfortable knowing that, okay, we had each other and we can figure this out.
Well, I didn't take that seriously when he said that to the team. I thought he was just like clowning around because, you know, when he was showing up as a bacon or a potato, I thought it was just part of the tricks. And I didn't think that he was actually going to leave us. And so when he went missing for a while, I'm like, where is Coach Leon? What's going on? So it was an adjustment for the team. And we actually had to learn how to function without him. And I think we did a really amazing job doing that. So we needed to be abandoned for a minute so we could become independent, more independent.
However, though, when we did need him, he did periodically show up. And what's really great about Coach Leon is he's a fantastic coach and he poses key questions. And I don't know how he reads the room, but he knows exactly what to hone in on and what kind of questions he should ask in order to bring it out of us.
Yes, he asks very powerful questions and gets us to think.
So Leon, your turn.
Leon, ask a powerful question.
Yes.
I have no questions.
He did tell us that he would be in the background, so.
I'm just very.
How was your experience coaching our team?
It was fun. It was rewarding. The thing I will say is that you weren't as irritating as I thought you would be.
Talking about me or about all of us?
Is that an official metric?
Irritating or needy?
It's not over.
Yeah,
it's not over yet, Leon.
And I was actually looking for who the jerk of the group was.
Whoa.
And it was, I had to look hard because, and eventually I did. No, it was not even you, Bill. So, no. So, and that's the thing about it is that there weren't really any jerks in the group, and they wanted to be coached, and I think they really genuinely wanted to work together and work to build something. So when that happens, right, really good things can happen.
Yes, and I recall in the beginning when we first started out and we were trying to figure out which roles we wanted to go in, and Coach Leon had to spank me hard, and he was like, no, you're not getting another role. You're ready this role, that role. And I was like, seriously, no, like I can't be a Scrum Master, a developer, and a product owner. Like, why? And I was like, I just wanted to do it all. And he said, no, you know, watch your WIP limits. So I think, you know, that started me on this whole thing about watching my work in progress limits and knowing how much I could take on and, you know, be mindful of self. Because at the end of the day, like everyone said, we were volunteering. And so sometimes we would be so committed and we'd neglect our mental and physical health, just trying to stay committed to this team and everything else that's going on in our lives. And so I appreciate the no that came in the card and verbally. And so that kind of kept me focused and in the right direction. So thanks, Coach, for saying no.
So there's a question on the chat from Laura and Jacqueline. Laura wants to know, did we need to get permission from any other groups to use their content in the app?
Yes, and Mike will
Yeah,
answer that. Or Bill,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Oh,
the, not the, what are those cards? I'm sorry, my
Management
mind's
3.0.
blanking.
Management
Delegation
3.0.
poker, yeah.
We had to get permission to use, we had to get permission from them. Well, I'm not sure if we had to, but we did go out and get permission from them to use those cards and those images in our app. So we've got full permission on everything that's in there to be able to use it.
And then Jackie, you had a question?
Yeah, I know that this is constantly evolving and you guys are coming out with different versions. Is there a time when you're going to actually implement like an autofill when you're signing up? Like when I went to sign in, I love the autofill because there's less human error and it's easier and it's faster. And a lot of people, I notice if there's not autofill, they're like, oh man, I've got to type all this again. And they're already done. They're out.
Matt, you got that?
Add it to the backlog.
yep.
Yeah, I mean-
To the backlog.
Say if it's not on there,
Add it to
please
the
put it
backlog.
on there.
No, I hope she noticed that. I think some of the team members were actually writing that. So that will be added to our, that will be added to the app.
Yeah, anything to make it easier, you know, more user friendly. And because people don't have time anymore in their lives.
Exactly. So
It-
please.
That's a great
Make use
suggestion,
of that.
Jackie. And
Mhm.
one of the challenges that we worked through
It's a
throughout
great
this whole
suggestion.
process
Thank you.
was
Thank you.
Adalo is not as robust as regular programming could be, right? Because it's no code app, it's drag and drop. And so some of those things like autofill, if there's not an API that plugs in or there's not a way for Adalo to do it already, we weren't necessarily building that out yet. But that may definitely be in the backlog in the future.
Nice. Yeah, I opened it on my phone and then I opened it in the Adalo app on my computer. And I noticed right away when I was signing up for an account on Adalo, even the suggested password didn't meet the password constraints. So that's a big problem also, but you guys aren't in control of that one.
No.
Yeah, Adalo is a really interesting platform, and they just got funded for Series B because they're a startup, so they just got new funding, and so they're continuing to evolve just like we were as a team. So compared to what we had when they first started to now, it's actually improved quite a bit.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to check that out.
Regina, you had a question?
Well,
Yeah,
no. Yeah. Go ahead, Regina.
yeah. So number one, wow, what an amazing journey. It's just so exciting to see all the learnings and the evolution of each and every one of you individually and as a team. This is amazing. I'm so excited to hear all the learnings because, as you know, Agile is a journey, not a destination, right? And how you guys have evolved is great. And the learnings that I heard each of you say, oh, the dynamics of a team, how we work together as a team. I was able to go now to work or my new job and have a different conversation and look at things from a different perspective. So that alone is a huge win. My question on the app, and maybe you guys touched on it at the beginning, did each of you or some of you actually get to use it in your day-to-day in your roles as project managers or scrum masters? And what has that been like, and what have you liked the most out of it? I guess that's my question from the functionalities.
Well, actually, let's go before using it on a day-by-day basis. I was going through a job interview and I asked actually my interviewer if I can show him the latest endeavor that I was working on. And I pulled up the app and I demoed it and I said, I'm part of the development team. And ironically enough, I ended up getting that job.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Yay. Anybody else, like, the stuff that you guys actually built, did you go use it in your jobs? Did it help?
Yeah, I've used it at work. Similar to VU, I've used it at work and it's definitely helped. I also interviewed somebody. So I wasn't the one being interviewed, but I interviewed somebody and they went to the app because it's on my LinkedIn profile. So they were asking me about the app. So, so I've used it mostly the time boxing. So for time boxing, I've used a timer, and it's helping us get a little bit more efficient in terms of our daily scrum.
So did you hire that person you interviewed that showed you the app?
That's a conversation over beer.
Oh boy.
I take that as a no.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So time-wise, again, it's 7:25. There's probably additional questions. You know when you can actually get additional questions answered? On Saturday. We want you to join us there, right? We're continuously growing, and this is one, team. But there's an additional teams that are going to be spawned, from this conversation, and they could be building another app, right? We could have some other things. The thing that I think I'm more grateful is this is free, guys. We are giving back to the community. We're giving back the work that we're doing, and then we're also, sharing that with the world. That's awesome. I could tell you as a coach that we do our best to build high-performing teams. But what you just mentioned and the conversations you guys have, you've got it. That's what Agile is about. Forget everything else, all this process. You're hitting where a lot of people, a lot of groups have never gone. So now you can have those conversations. So I'm humbled by what you've done and what you're going to do, right? Because I can see other people, what you just shared right now, other people are thinking, and they're opening their minds to a different way of looking at, their work. So just understand you're doing beyond just building an app, right? It's more than that, okay? So we are so grateful. And how are we going to show our gratefulness to you? Everyone's going to turn on their video camera. Come on. Let's go. Video.
Can we also, Rick, can we also acknowledge the fact, or actually extend a thank you to you for giving us this platform? Because we got what we got out of it, and we produced only because you opened that door for us. So thank you so much.
That's what I wanted to say. And I wanted to say, thank you to Rick for everything that he's doing for the community and allowing us to really learn and expand our abilities. So Rick, it's due to you that you've been able to put all this together, and it's greatly appreciated.
I was going to actually highlight Rick by doing a little suggestion. So that homepage, you see Rick's background. Have you thought about doing the homepage as that background and then doing a drawer for all the different
Is Rick's face on it?
No, I don't know.
If it is, I'm saying no.
You could do some kind of empowering message on it, and then do a drawer.
You want to attract people to the app, not.
Yeah.
They make fun of me too. It's not all. So